Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
And any video feed, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Miss Bigler.
Mhm.
All right, so we're here in cause 25S000022. We have the plaintiff Susan Bigler present. Miss Bigler, Keith Simmons, he's also listed as a co-plaintiff with you.
Yes.
Is he behind you?
Yes.
Okay, all right, and I'll just say that Keith Simmons is present as well. And then we have the defendant, Clarissa Keel, here as well for today. So I guess I'll begin by stating that the price that you're seeking in reimbursement, Miss Bigler, is $700.
Yes.
Okay, you're aware of that as well, Miss Keel.
Yes, I also got something from their homeowners insurance that they're trying to make me reimburse their homeowners insurance as well.
No.
Okay, all right, well then I would disregard that. It looks like Miss Bigler said no, and that's not part of today's claim, so that's not something that I would be imparting any judgment on, okay? And I know that the situation might be a little tense between the two of you, but please communicate later with Miss Bigler if that's something that you're worried that you need to pay or not, or maybe have a different party deal with that if need be, but it doesn't seem like that's an issue, okay? So in this situation, how it's going to work? Well, first I'll start off by saying that Miss Bigler, I did receive your exhibits. I have them all in front of me. Miss Keel, I didn't receive any exhibits from you. I saw that you submitted a piece of paper, but it was past the exhibit deadline and it's not really an exhibit. It's just your response to a claim. It should have been submitted a lot earlier than it was, but I saw
I
that, but
When we had court, I wrote down that it said the 14th was the last day to file documents and the 17th would be presenting exhibits.
no, the 14th would be the day that you would have to submit them. And the 17th is the day that you needed to pick them up from the courthouse.
Okay,
And
because I submitted them on the 14th.
you did submit it on the 14th?
Yes. I submitted them that Friday. And then I served them to,
You served a copy of your exhibit too, Miss
yes,
Bigler?
yes.
Okay, so Miss Bigler, are you aware of this response here?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, then based on that information, I will go ahead and allow this to become an exhibit because I do see that it's filed on the 14th. I'll go ahead and allow that to become your exhibit in this small claims trial, all right?
Okay, thank you.
So I do have one from you as well. So I just wanted to tell both parties how it'll go procedurally, just so that you're aware. First, Miss Bigler, as you're the individual bringing this matter, you are the first person who's going to tell your side of the story. If you have any other witnesses that you want to testify on your behalf after you're done with your testimony, you can call them and ask them to talk. I don't know if you and Mr. Simmons would like to talk, but you can decide in which order you would like someone to go. After you're done, Miss Keel, it'll be your turn to say your side of the story. And then afterwards, Miss Bigler, if you have any additional points that you want to make, you can make them shortly after that. At the end of this, then I'll go ahead and tell you my judgment on this matter. Please just talk to me. Don't talk to each other, just so that we could have a cordial environment and just get this trial with as quickly as possible. Does either party have any questions on the matter?
Not at this time.
All right, Miss Bigler, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth during this proceeding?
Yes.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Susan Bigler, Bigler.
Thank you, Miss Bigler. Please begin with your testimony.
Oh, okay. So I had wrote everything out and it was just on the outline of it. It was the later part of 23 when Keith, he observed that the neighbor next door, and this was prior, that they were leaning some lumber up against our fence. On their side, they were building a gate and it started leaning. So shortly after that, he had put reimbursements up against our fence so that it wouldn't fall over, and reinforcing the fence. And shortly after that, then we observed that there was a frame of some sort. It looks as though it is like a steel frame for where I thought it was it's like maybe to a like a swing or something. It was like wrought iron type look to me. But I have pictures there that so that you could see it was quite big and it looked pretty heavy. So he asked her if she could move that, and she said sure, like and maybe that she would get to that. But a couple of weeks went by and it was still there. So he asked her again. He's seen her out there, and he she said that she didn't like the way that he asked her. So kind of in disrespectful way, she got a little bit snappy. If you would have asked me a little bit a nicer way than I might have. So anyway, a couple days later, it was gone. And then I think it was later, the first part of this year, or the later part of the year, I seen that the fence had fell over and there was a little flatbed trailer there that looked like at that time, because I didn't go over there and look on their side or anything, but we had a fence company come out and I called my insurance company, and he took pictures and everything. And he also made a little note on the fence area that he could see there was marks on the fence, and I submitted pictures of that too. There was little gouges on it. Yeah.
Is the name what you're talking about right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it does have like, yeah, the gouge right there on the corner of the fence. And you can see the trailers parked really close to the fence. And it just apparent that it was hit by the little trailer. And the fence company also noted the same thing, that it looked like the fence had been hit multiple times there in the building. Then it was building supply doors, metal bars, 4 tires are all laying up against the fence. Anyway, that's observation on his part, and he made a statement on that also. And so what I was seeking is just originally it's just a $700 deductible. We had to pay because our insurance did pay it. And I had looked it up and it said that if you share a fence with the neighbors next door, that they have, it could even, they have to make, not have to, but the possibility that the law says that they might have to pay half of it. So I'm asking for 700 and just for my filing fee and the serving fee from the sheriffs and copies I've made and lost from work.
Okay, so explain to me the loss from work.
So I drive truck, and so I had to like take 2 hours of my time to pull over to be able to Zoom. So I just ended up taking the day off so that I would be able to be in the clear, because I never know where I'm going to be. So I just, instead of taking full days, taking the whole days, I'm just asking for 4 hours of lost time from work.
And where's the breakdown of your hourly wage and stuff like that?
I just kind of like estimated. I couldn't find a copy. My average is $400 a day. So I just went like an hour down to, well, that's based on 10-hour days. So with the, so I averaged it out for each hour. It averaged out to $40 an hour, but I don't have any proof I could find. I just put that on there.
Okay, so essentially you're saying that you ended up losing about 2 days of work, but you're asking for, instead of $800, $160.
Yes, I just broke it down to hours, because it's only to get it together and be here. It's just like about 2 hours per meeting. That's counting the last one too.
Okay, I just want to, so your request went from $700 to $1,001.45.
Yeah.
But that's inclusive of the filing fee and service fee.
Yes.
So, okay. So essentially your claim, because the other ones are actually components that take place on the court side of things, it's $700 for the deductible home insurance. So if you could just walk me through that really quickly. I see that you did provide a piece of paper that,
Yeah, and the receipt should be there, and there's a copy of our insurance. Cause it's actually $1,000 deductible, but they honor like 300, so it was down to 700. Is what we had to pay. The insurance covered the rest. As receipt for that.
The whole bill was.
A receipt, there is a receipt in there for the $40 to be
Oh.
served.
well, Geico Insurance Agency asked for $1,217, but then they allowed you to just pay 700 of that amount.
Yes,
Okay. And I want to confirm, you had the scope of work. Who is this that came out that told you that there were these markings and all these things laying up against the fence? Is this all about fencing? It's a
Yeah.
company you called out to get a quote for the fence, or why did you call them out?
to get a quote and and get it repaired, to have it replaced, because it was laying on the ground.
Okay. Mr. Simmons,
Yeah.
it's just one person talking at this time. You can't testify because you haven't been sworn in, so I apologize. I know it's hard, but if you could just only let Ms. Bigler speak, I will give you a chance to speak if you want to as well. All right, so is this the individual who ended up fixing your fence?
Yes,
Okay, all right. So Geico paid him for his work and then you just
Yeah.
paid 700 deductible. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and so he noticed that, so he said that he installed 2 rails, 6-foot dog ear cedar fencing in backyard, right side of property. Further investigation, fence was damaged and knocked down by neighbor's car trailer. Markings on the fence confirmed that the fence was hit multiple times. There was also building supplies, doors, metal bars, 2x4s, tires, all laying up against the fence prior to it falling. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that makes sense. So I see that you have the information from the fencing gentleman. I see that you have pictures here from where it fell. There is the trailer there. I see your reinforcements. I see the ding on the fence. I see that you have the $40 here from the sheriff's office for service. I understand. I see your copy fees are, I see copies for $25.62 though, not for $40.83.
I think that was a total.
Well, where's the other part of it, ma'am? There has to be information in front of me, just because I can't award stuff based on. Oh, it's the total of the other ones for copy.
Yes, yeah, it's right next to it, I believe.
All right, I do see that.
Yeah,
Okay. All right, and then I understand that the 160 is $40 an hour for 4 hours.
yeah.
All right, so that makes sense to me. Is there anything additional you would like to say, ma'am?
I think that pretty much covers it.
Okay, thank you for your testimony then. Mr. Simmons, do you wish to testify about anything, sir?
No, she did it all.
All right, thank you, sir. If you have anything additional to say later, I'll let you go ahead and testify, okay? So now at this point, I'm going to go to Ms. Keel.
Oh,
You-
I have one,
I'm sorry.
thing to say. One thing
Okay.
to say.
Okay, sir, well then please raise your right hand.
Yes,
Do you swear to tell the whole truth during this proceeding?
yes, I do.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Pete Simmons, Simmons.
Thank you, sir. Please begin.
I tried to talk to her about the fence, to show her the fence. And she told her boyfriend that was there at the time, no, don't go over there. And he was only about 5 feet away. She was telling him, don't go over there. And she told me, I would have moved that stuff, but I didn't like the way you asked me. And I don't like to have anything to do with her because of her attitude.
Okay,
That's it.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
1 second. Okay, Ms. Keel, could you please raise your right hand and mute?
Yes.
All right, Thank you. Do you swear to tell the whole truth during this proceeding?
Yes, Your Honor.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Clarissa Rose Keel, and Keele.
All right, thank you. Please begin with your testimony.
Um, okay, so I just want to start out with, as she stated, it was in the later part of 2023. When the fence fell down, that was in the later part of 2024. So in 2023, when we had snow, I had a gazebo, which I did provide the weight of the gazebo in the exhibit on my attached response. The entire thing weighs like 60 something pounds. I don't actually have that in front of me, but it was no more than 70 pounds. That's the entire thing. That's like the top included, the side pieces, because there's like netting around it and stuff. I had put it on top of the trailer because that was like the trailer. We would just tie stuff down, and the trailer being there was taken to the dump, and then it had fallen over. So I mean, even, and that's just a piece of it. It's not even the whole thing. So there's like a maximum of 20 pounds, if even that, because physics, unless the gazebo is sitting directly on top of the fence, the entire weight of the gazebo is not going to be distributed on top of the fence or onto the fence. So just to start out with that. And then a year later, it falls apart. I mean, the whole fence, you can see how rotten it is. Like the fence itself is rotten. Um, so in order to make me pay for their fence, they'd have to prove that anything that I did created that fence to be weakened, which it looks like it was already weakened because it's an untaken care, like it's rotten. Their own photos show that it's rotten. I've personally never driven that trailer. I've never backed that trailer into anything. So I cannot confirm nor deny if that piece on the fence is from the trailer or not. But it's also, I mean, it's a very small chunk taken out of the 4x4, not even the actual part of the fence that fell over. The 4x4, obviously, like you put it up, it's going to be like this. You're going to have your fence, and there's a large gap between that. So obviously, the side of the, sorry, my dogs are barking. The side of the fence that even fell over is not even the side of the fence. If the or not gazebo, if the this piece right here was to be hit by anything, the opposite side is the side, like this isn't even damaged clear across here, it's damaged on the corner. And I can't, like I said, I can't say if my ex-husband hit that or not, but it was not me. And if he did hit that, that should be him that they're going after, not me. And then it shows this side is the side that fell over. It fell over in October. My current boyfriend was gone in Florida working the hurricane. And when he came back, we were also experiencing really strong wind here. And then I woke up the next morning and noticed that my lawn chairs in the back and other stuff had kind of blown over. And then I looked over and I saw that his fence was down as well. And yes, the trailer is there, but you can see in their own photos that they provide, there's significant space from the, it shows even all about fencing's photo, it shows there's significant gap between the fence and the trailer. And like the other photo that they used where they said that there's 400 pounds leaning up against the gate, I don't even know where they come up with that information, because I put out there, my boyfriend got called out on the emergency storm and we were working on going to the dump. So he was taking everything out of the garage, and that side space is my part of the property. I rent here. I'm not the owner. That's my part. It's a RV parking. And there's two things. Part of my fence, because we were having windy weather in October, one of my boards came off, and so we put those two closet doors there so my dogs wouldn't get out, well, attempting to try to keep them from getting out of that hole, because I didn't have something big enough to hammer it back in, and my boyfriend was gone. But again, that's on my side of the fence. That's not even touching any part of their fence at all. And he's saying in one of his exhibits that it's 400 pounds. Closet doors don't weigh 400 pounds. And like I can carry those myself and I'm not a power lifter. So I don't know how much exactly that they would weigh, but it's not 400 pounds. And then, again, that like those closet doors I did have leaning up are not even touching any part of his structure of the fence. It's on my side, it's on my gate that has its own 4x4s and its own structure to keep it up. And I've never had tires in my backyard. I don't see where any photos are of any tires leaning up against it. And like, he's extremely like rude. Every time he talks to me, he's like yelling at me, accusing me of things. So like when he came up to me about the gazebo, I got divorced recently and I was in a domestic violence marriage, and I had a lot of things going on at the time, like trying to get out of, and the guy that he's saying that he had was trying to get over there was my ex-husband when he was getting things, and I was like not trying to have my ex-husband be involved in anything that has to do with me or my present life. I mean, that was still over a year ago though, like a year and a half ago. So, and then he served the homeowner originally with this paperwork, and then I got contacted, and that was how I found out in the first place. So, if they're thinking that they're entitled to any part of reimbursement because owners or whatever, because they're entitled to that, I'm the wrong person to go to that. I did not damage his fence. It's clearly rotten. In the photos that they show, there's nothing leaning up against it. There's a trailer back there, but the trailer has its own wheels, its own ability to hold itself up. It doesn't have to lean up against any. Oops, sorry. And
All right, Ms. Keel, were you the tenant in residence on 10/28/24?
yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. You can continue.
Sorry, I'm just kind of going through all of this. But again, it had been well over a year and a half of that gazebo even touching the fence. And it weighed a maximum of 65 pounds. Not even half of it was on it. And it was also on top of the trailer, which would also weight distribution. We had massive wind in October, and I strongly believe that that's the reason why that specific spot fell down, because the part that the gazebo was ever even touching is not even the part of the fence that fell over.
Okay.
And so, again, the condition of the fence, like he cannot even say that I am responsible without a doubt for his fence falling over, considering the condition of the fence. We're experiencing wind. And just, I mean, just the fact that he's even, the timeline of everything too. If a year and a half later, and then the fence falls down, I mean, it's clearly rotten. When I moved in here in 2022, the homeowner replaced the other sides of the fence, like just not the one touching his yard. Because the fence itself was also rotten. And you can see in his own photos that parts of the fence all over are like buckled. They're leaning in. If you look, like each, I don't know what you would consider it, but like even on exhibit 4, you can see a gap from the wall or not the wall, but like the piece of wood, you can see a gap there. You can see behind it the trailer, and then there's like a lawnmower, and you can see through that. Like you can clearly see that the fence is not like perfectly lined up. It's not in good condition. It's not structurally sound in multiple areas, more than just one, all over. Like it's not lining up. So especially if it's not lining up like that, when you're getting wind, it's not going to create a structure that's going to be windproof. It's wind is going to get through that. It's going to weaken it more, and it's going to pull it down. I mean, even on exhibit 3, you can see again at the top, you can see that the boards, they're warped. They're not lined up straight. It's not, I mean, I'm not a professional, but I did research. You can become a fence professional for like $1,000 in an online class. I don't know the person who did their fence, but I know a lot of contractors. I did property management myself. I managed multifamily homes for 4 years, and I know for a fact the people that would be writing their scope of work would say damn near anything I told them to say that needed to be said to get the job done and to get insurance to cover it. So do I believe that this Jesse person who did the fence is even fully qualified to make the determination that he made? No, I don't. In his own photos, there's no tires there. So who told him that there was tires? The plaintiffs? And then he just writes something in there saying that there was? Because I mean, they provide a lot of pictures. They really do, which is great on them because it also shows that their fence is rotten. It's not, there's multiple boards all over, and they can't blame me for that. The damage that is all over every single board, they can't say that's from me. And the car trailer that I've never even driven ever, not one single time have I ever even backed that trailer up. So I would personally never have been able to hit that trailer. If someone hit that fence and did that, his name's Devin Keith. That's my ex-husband. They're perfectly welcome to contact him and make him pay for the chip
If we
in
could
the
just not
board.
talk on the other end, please, while we have testimony, unless you can mute yourself, Miss Bigler.
Yes.
Thank you.
But
All right,
I
Ms.
just
Keel, I've heard everything. Thank you. Do you have anything in addition?
and it does say in here as well that he recommends using a different stuff instead of what they were using because it will eliminate any future rot. So even the person himself is saying that the fence is rotten.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Bigler, Mr. Simmons, anything short? I mean, I don't think there's anything much to add, but if you feel like there is, please feel free.
Yeah, as far as my rudeness, yeah, I am a rude guy.
Okay,
As far as the doors and stuff that she spoke of, I'm not even speaking of those doors that was in front of her gate. That was to keep the dogs in, her dogs. And far as me being rude to her, yes, because I know she doesn't tell the truth a lot.
all right,
Because-
everyone, let's just, this is
Oh,
not
okay.
character attacks. I understand, Mr. Simmons, it can be a very emotional
I
subject
didn't,
for both parties, but let's just
okay. I
stick
didn't
to the
tell,
fence.
I didn't tell the fence guy what to write or this or that. They looked at it, they took the picture, they said they would have to go next door and talk to her to let her know we would be in her backyard.
Okay.
That's it.
No one ever talked to me either, though.
Okay, no, thank you. We're not, or just one at a time, please. All right,
Well,
Miss,
I asked the guy, he said, yeah, we spoke to her. I don't know if it's her or her daughter. They spoke to her, they said, and to let her know they would be in the backyard repairing the fence.
all right, thank you.
That's
This just bears no merit on whether a fence fell over, but
Yeah.
thank you. Are we done?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Thank you. Ms. Bigler, do you have anything else to add?
Nope, that's about a wrap.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm ready to state my findings and give my judgment in this matter. So I think in this situation, there's been a lot of different insinuations about things that may have caused the fence to fall down. I think first and foremost, I'm going to talk about the gazebo and closet door. I don't think any of those have any impact on the fence falling down. Yes, they were weighing against it at one point. Ms. Keel stated that the gazebo was about 70 pounds. She doesn't think the closet door was about 400 pounds. You know, when they were leaning up against the fence, it didn't fall over. So I think that regarding the gazebo and closet door, there's nothing that we can really say about that. Yes, they were leaning up against it at one point. I don't think that either of those facts really matter to the matter at hand. I think what does matter is a few things. First, Ms. Keel did testify that she was the tenant in residence on 10/28/24. That is the date that the fence fell over. That is information that we got from both parties. How tenancy works, Ms. Keel, is it doesn't matter who does what on your property. If you did it, if someone else who is visiting your property did it, if you're the tenant in residence, you're the one who's held accountable for whatever someone does on your property at that time. So we do have testimony from you that you were the tenant in residence. I do agree the fence looks rotten. I do think that it is not in the best condition. However, I think that because that is such a noticeable fact that everyone needed to be a little bit more careful not to put stuff against it or hit it. And I think that Ms. Bigler did testify that they did try to reinforce it a little bit to accommodate for heavy items up against it. So I think that is a true fact, but however, I don't think that a rotten fence necessarily is, you know, the main issue that we have here. I think the main issue we have here is a trailer and a trailer hitting a post. We did have testimony from Ms. Keel that she can neither, this is verbatim, confirm nor deny if it's from the trailer, but your ex-husband could have hit it and that we should go after your ex-husband. So I think what we have here is testimony that there is something that hit a post. I think it's fairly clear that that did happen. It might not have been Ms. Keel. However, she was the tenant in the residence. And so anything that does happen to property while she is in residency is her responsibility. I think that all we have to go on at this point is the information that was provided by plaintiff from All About Fencing, Mr. Simmons, that says that the fence was damaged and it was knocked down by neighbors' car trailer markings on the fence. That's all I have to go on. I see a picture that there's a ding and a post. I have a statement that Ms. Keel made that it could have been her husband. She's just not sure about it. I think that I am no expert in fence layout. I guess I can become one for $1,000, but I am no expert. But I do know that if something hits a fence hard enough, and if it is in poor condition and rotten, the impact can make a portion of it fall over. That's, I think, what it comes down to.
Your Honor, that car trailer had not moved in over a year and a half.
That's a lot.
Okay. All right. I didn't
No.
receive that testimony, but you said that your husband could have moved it in there. That is your testimony.
Yeah, and he's
previously.
been gone. He's been gone since 2023, June of
But you said your
2024.
husband was there on the day when they went over to discuss the fence, and you said, don't talk to them. I
No,
would have done
that's-
something if they weren't rude.
Yes, that was when the gazebo was up there, which Miss Bigler also states was in 2023. So that was the last time that that trailer had ever even been moved. And it needs to go, but it's just been sitting there. And we used my current boyfriend's trailer, enclosed trailer, for the last dump run, but that trailer has not moved since 2023 when my ex-husband was here. It's not licensed, it's not anything. It has not been on the road since 2023, which Ms. Bigler also stated herself. And I never said.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms.
Yes.
Keel. I'm just looking at pictures and, you know, I just am going off the testimony that I heard. If it's not the trailer, then I will say that there is something that impacted the fence. That's all I can see from pictures. I'm an impartial third party. I have no.
Yeah, and I've only been
Ms.
here
Keel,
2 years.
if I could please talk, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. So in this situation, all I know is that there was some impact to the fence and a little portion of it fell over. I understand the condition's not perfect. It might have been a culmination of many things leaning up against it over the years, and finally something happened. Ms. Keel is stating that it was the wind that blew it over. Maybe. All I have is a report from a professional fencer, Keith Simmons, that said there is a ding to the fence and something fell over. I have testimony from both parties. And I had testimony that an ex-husband could have hit that portion. So I agree, maybe wild wind could have contributed. The information that I do have in front of me is that something caused the fence to fall over in 24. Based on that information, I will go ahead and award the plaintiffs their asking price of $700 for their deductible for the fence. So let me go ahead and pull that information up in front of me. Right here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and award $700 for the fence. I will go ahead and also award the copy fees that are being requested. So I will go ahead and award you, Ms. Bigler, and I guess Mr. Simmons at this point too, the copy fee request of $40.83. However, I apologize, Ms. Bigler, because I understand that you are trying to reduce the cost from the $800 you're potentially saying you could have requested, but since I do not have proof of your hourly rate, that is ambiguous. And while I'm sorry that you did lose money for those days, all I have is your word, and I would just need something a little bit more concrete to do an hourly breakdown. So I apologize. I am unable to award you the time lost on income. However, I will award you the filing fee, the service fee as well. So you'll be getting the deductible for the fence and for your copy fees, because I do have copies of the receipts. So you will be receiving $740.83 as a principal. You'll be receiving $35 filing fee, $40 service fee. I'll give you a 9% post-judgment interest rate.